Hi, my name is Darren Mostyn and I run a post facility in Brighton in the UK, and we run the Mac Pro 2019 workstation, and after 6 months of using it, I just want to give you a little insight into what I think of it. So the spec of this workstation is the 3.2 GHz 16 core machine. It's got 96 gigs of RAM. It's running the Radeon Vega 2 Duo 32 GB graphics card, and I've also got the Afterburner card in there. I picked up this workstation from Jigsaw24 in the UK. I've used them for years, to be honest. They always give me such good service. The main thing I love about this Mac Pro 2019 is the performance. It is unbelievably quick. So let's dive in and I'll show you what I mean. So to show the performance of this system, I've got in here some 8K materials. This is downloaded from the Red website. So I'm just going to show you. I've got a clip here. Let me go to the edit page. And if I go to metadata up here, you can see this is an 8K R3D file. So it's a Red Raw 8K file. The clip after that is an ARRI 3.2K file. And I'm going to show you the difference between the two in speed. And finally here, I've got another 8K file, again from the Red website. So let's have a look at how fast this Mac Pro 2019 works with these files. So 8K RAW, I'm going to reset that node. And first of all, play it back, no problem at all. So up here, you'll see the speed frames per second. So it's running at 25 quite happily. I'll leave that going in a loop. And I'm just going to start grading on it. And we get instant update. It is really powerful. So let's just add another node. Let's add a bit of saturation. And that's fine. I can put quite a few nodes on here and it will play quite happily. But what happens when we start to use AI technology? So inside DaVinci, as you know, there is a neural engine. So I'm going to do something that's going to push the system a little bit harder, and that is the face refine tool. So let's drag and drop that on from our OFX library. And I'm now going to analyze the face refinement. And the speed we're getting from there is pretty phenomenal. This is 8K Red Raw, and that is just cruising through that shot. Now, obviously, we typically don't work in 8K here, but we do work a lot in 4K and with ARRI files. So they are 3.2K. So what I want to do is show you, I'm going to go to the next clip. And this clip here, I'm going to do the same thing. I've already got a couple of little things going on. We've got a warper here, we've got color space transform, and a couple of grades here. And I'm just going to throw on the face refinement tool, just so you can see the speed difference when you go from 8K down to more regular files that we work with, like 3.2K. So let me analyze that. Just go to the beginning of the clip, which it is, and let's go and look at the speed of this now. So this is using the DaVinci neural engine, which is the hardest work that this system will have to do. So it's really impressive stuff. So speeds like that means I can just start playing with things like face refinement in any of my grades without having to worry that I don't have enough time to do it. And just to show you the real power, if I move on to the next shot, this is 8K Red Raw. And I'm just going to close down these open effects you can see. And look how many nodes I've got going on here. So there's about 12 nodes that you can see there. I'm just going to press play, and it's going to play instantly. And just to prove that this hasn't been cached beforehand, I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to delete my render cache. So that's deleting all of the cache, so nothing is pre-rendered. And press play, and just watch up here the speed. That is 25 frames per second instantly, with all those nodes going on. I've got keying going on, windows. I've even got in here this thing called Color Lab that I'm playing with at the minute. This is really brilliant. It's a third-party plugin. It does film stock emulation. So have a look at this. You've got all this stuff here. So this is a third-party application running. And not only that, but in here I've got a compound node. Now a compound node allows me to take many nodes and flatten them down into one node. So if I decompose that, right-hand click, and decompose that node, look at all the other stuff I've got going on. So I've got 18 nodes playing in real time in 8K. 25 frames per second, so it's unbelievable power. I've got a glow going on there as well. And just to show you something even more impressive, by default, Blackmagic Design, the DaVinci Resolve system itself, sets red files to run at half resolution. So I'm going to override that and put it into full res premium resolution, 8K RAW. I'm going to press play now, and that will play at 25 frames per second. It takes a couple of frames to get there, but look at that. So that is seriously impressive power. So a lot of what we get here is 4K. So I'm going to switch over to a 4K file. And here we've got some footage from the Sony FX6, and this is the actual grade. So I've already graded this up. So we've got lift gamma gain here, temperature, we've got some exposure going on here, windows, we've got tracking going on, there is some color compression. So there's all sorts of stuff going on here. Obviously this plays in real time, so let's just play that back. Just show you that. So it's 23.976 frames per second on this shot. And that's playing quite happily. So what I'm going to do is just push the system a little bit harder and add some noise reduction. This is where most systems stop working in real time. So I'm going to put that right at the beginning. I'm going to right hand click on here and say add node, add serial before. And what I'm going to do is go to my noise reduction tools. So you do need the full version of DaVinci Resolve Studio for this. And I'm going to go in and bring that up. And one tip here, if you're looking for how much noise reduction to put in a shot, one thing that can help you, if you put your highlight on and switch to AB mode, this is going to show you the difference of that node with and without the effects that you're putting on. So what I'm going to do is start increasing luminance and chrominance here in my temporal noise reduction, and you can see the outline of what is being affected. So what you want to do is push this until you don't see either the product that is the main thing that you're looking at here or a face or that sort of thing. So I just want the background here to be noise reduced. I'm just going to split that up a little bit, push it a little bit harder there. Let's add some spatial noise reduction as well. This is what always slows systems down. And let's bring that up a little bit. I'm pushing that too hard now because you can actually see his body coming out there. So I'm going to blend that back a little bit and we'll take that. Let's have a look at it on the screen and let's play that back, and that will give us real time straight away with a bit of luck. And there we go, we've got real-time playback with noise reduction on. Now that's using the faster noise reduction. What I'm going to do is switch it to be better and better on here and play that back. So this is now the best noise reduction that we can get, and it makes a big difference in performance. So let's press play and we're still getting real time. So I'm really happy with that. That is an absolute typical node tree that I would work with in real time. So it just means the work I'm doing, I don't have to worry about the system slowing down. So one other area that I want to save time in is actually exporting out my projects. So when we're working on long form programming, you're talking about you're rendering out an hour show or a 90-minute show, and you don't want that to take even real time. If that took an hour, that's a long time in broadcast. So let's have a look at an example that we've got in here. So if I go to my shot here, so this is an actual program that we did for ITV last year. It runs at 45 minutes because a 1 hour show will run at 45 minutes. And let's take a look in the delivery side of things. So if I click in here, here's all our shots, and let's just render that out. I'll show you the sort of speeds that we get. So let's just add that to my render queue. So it's a 44-minute program in full quality HD, and let's go and render, and I'll show you the speeds. So that is flying through there, and we are rendering this. This is estimating to take about 5 minutes, which is unbelievable. So it's a 45-minute program with the grade on. And just so you know, by the way, let me just stop that. If I go back to the color page, I have got grades on here. So I've got 7 nodes running on this one. And that is typical of what we would do in a documentary. It's probably 5 to 7 nodes. So I'm getting delivery speeds of 5 minutes for a 45-minute show, means I'm going to hit my deadlines. If we spot something when it's going through and you have to stop and change, it's easy. I know the maximum I'm going to have to wait is 5 minutes to get a new render. One little tip in the render page, this project had about 6 terabytes attached to it in form of rushes. So what I like to do, just to help with the archive, is if you go into the advanced settings here, and you can do down here, enable flat pass, and if you switch that to on, you can render out a completely ungraded version without having to remove your grades. So that gives me a flattened QuickTime file, ungraded, that I can park with the archive just in case they need to tweak a shot or add a grade, because I can keep my grades in the project, but I've got then an ungraded master and a graded master. So that's just a good little tip. It's just an easy way of doing it. So always on will take off your grades and then switch it back to off. So when I bought this workstation 6 months ago, I'm looking at it as a long-term investment. I've got a 2009 machine sat next to it, which is already 11 or 12 years old. So I'm expecting a good long life out of this machine, and it's fully serviceable. I can update the graphics cards if I want to, that sort of thing. It is absolutely rock solid reliable. So some of the deadlines that we have to meet on here, the last thing I want to do is be rebooting a machine. So in the last 6 months, it's been absolutely rock solid. We also don't have a machine room here, so it is really useful, the fact that it's super quiet. You can't hear it at all. In fact, it's silent. I don't even hear it. I've heard the fans kick in a couple of times, I think, on some heavy noise reduction jobs, but it is absolutely silent, which is great. When I first got the machine, when it arrived, I noticed that on the back it's all USB-C and Thunderbolt 3, and we do have a couple of Thunderbolt 2 items. So I had to buy a couple of little adapters, but it's not really that big a deal. So what do I think of the Mac Pro 2019 after 6 months? It runs like a dream, it looks beautiful, and I love it.